Hello and welcome. We have Dr. Jeff Hockings on with us today, and he's going to tell us about his business, Diabetes Reversal Group, DRG for short. And we're excited to have you on, Dr. Jeff. How you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Awesome. Well, we are always interested in hearing about some of the stories and trials and tribulations and the real stuff that's happening with real people and real business. And I know you've said your business is growing pretty fast. I'm sure you got some interesting things going on. So without further ado, maybe you could introduce us to your company and the problems you solve.
Yeah, so our company is pretty simple. We have a very laser focused, it's called Diabetes Reversal Group. So our name says what we do. Like we have the only patented system in the world that reverses type 2 diabetes. And there's 425 million people in the world that have diabetes. It's about $1 trillion industry worldwide, and we've got the solution for it. So right now we've been doing it for just a little bit over 15 years. We converted recently to a telemedicine program. So now we can reach any diabetic in any English speaking country. And the other cool thing is now we just met a couple people within the last couple of weeks that want to open up India, the UAE, all of Europe, and Mexico for us as well. So that'll be in addition to the US. So we're growing really, really quickly. And it's very exciting to, save lives is what we're doing every single day. So it's really, really fun.
That's awesome and amazing. So the countries you mentioned, so currently are you just in the US?
Yeah, just in the US.
So these countries would be like, 5xing or 6xing more or less the number of countries that
Yeah, it's
you're.
crazy. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, India's got, 4 times the population of the
Yeah.
US alone. So that's really
Yeah.
big for us. So yeah, it's going to be really fun. And so that's really what we're looking at now is how do we scale yet still give that same quality that we're known for. So
Hmm. Yeah. I think a lot of people, I know when we work with clients, a lot of times we'll hear from clients, oh, I don't want to get too big because I don't want to lose the quality. I'm like, well, it is possible to do both, right? So,
exactly.
but you,
Yeah,
you have to make sure it happens, it's not just gonna, happen on its own.
sure.
So yeah, definitely something you guys are looking at. So, but with 425 million people around the world that have type 2 diabetes, it sounds like you guys have plenty of people to go help. So scaling sounds like a good thing for everybody. Um, so how we kind of know what you're doing, but how and why did you start the company?
Yeah, so again, my wife and I, we've been married 33 years. I just turned 60 last year, so I've been in healthcare almost 35 years myself. And our first 18 years together, we built and sold 4 wellness centers in Southern California,
Hmm.
kind of pain management centers where chiropractors, medical doctors working together, but very high insurance reimbursement. And it was just a pain in the butt. We really got sick of it after 18 years of that. So we said, okay, now we're ready for the next thing. So we sold those clinics and decided to tackle diabetes because I had an aunt who died of it when I was young. And my father's dad just passed away 2 years ago from type 2 diabetes
Hmm.
complications. So it runs in our family. And we knew back then, 15 years ago, that it was reversible with proper lifestyle changes, but we didn't see any kind of a program somebody could join where it's like,
Hmm.
look, I'm going to join this program. I'm going to show you exactly what you can eat and drink, exactly what supplements to take, what exercise to do, give you all the meal plans, recipes, training, and hold you accountable with coaching, unlimited, and guarantee results. There's nothing like that. So we just created it. So one of the books I really love is the Blue Ocean Strategy.
Hmm.
So my wife and I, we kind of started this. There's nothing else like that. So we kind of
Hmm.
separated ourselves. It was kind of a unicorn in the marketplace, and we created it. And it was a long journey. Like the first 9 years, I did a seminar every week in a different city all over the world, just tweaking and testing and proving our concept. And once we, after 9 years of really hard work of all this testing, we were able to predictably reverse type 2. That's when we applied for our patent in 2017, because the patent office wants to know, can you do what you say you do? And what's unique about you in the marketplace? So we
Hmm.
had to demonstrate that to them. So we applied for our patent. I stopped doing seminars on the road, and then we started opening up brick and mortar clinics. So in 2018 and 19, we opened up 17 clinics in 20 months, like all the way from Honolulu down to Orlando,
Hmm.
Florida. And we had leases signed on 13 more locations. And then
Hmm.
guess what happened in March of 20, or right, 2020, COVID hit,
It
and we
did.
had to shut down
Well,
all of our clinics, Sean. It
yeah.
was
What's
crazy.
COVID? I haven't heard of that.
So we
Huh.
went from about $1 million a month in revenue down to zero
Hmm.
overnight, like a
Right.
stroke of a pen. So that was really rough, that whole process. And that's kind of why we got into it, is because it does run in our family, and we just wanted to create a solution for it. And so now it's just very exciting to see where we are right now.
Yeah, and I was going to ask because you mentioned doing the seminars, and then you started opening these different locations, and of course, then you had COVID. No, not that anyone was planning on COVID, but
Yeah.
I was going to ask sort of how the growth has happened. Like, is it has it been pretty steady, or is it like a hockey stick, and then now it came back down, and then a hockey stick again? Like,
Yeah.
how's that been looking? Oh,
Yeah, so during our seminars, obviously I'm just one guy, right? We do a
mm,
seminar every week, and so the for the 9 years, it was pretty flatlined around 1.7 million a year. That's
mm,
about the max I could do myself doing one
yeah,
event. We did like 48 events per year, right? For nine
it's
years.
pretty
So I did
active.
like 430 seminars. But again, that wasn't scalable. I knew
Yeah.
that was a temporary thing to kind of prove our concept. But then the clinics, we were scaling pretty good. Like we went from in 2018, we're at 2.4 million. And then
Mm,
2019 jumped up to almost 12 million. So we were
mm,
scaling pretty good. And then COVID hit and went right down like this.
yeah.
We flatlined for a few years after COVID, and now we're coming back up again. So it's been a really interesting roller coaster. And again, who knew that a once in a lifetime pandemic going to hit and make you
Yeah.
shut your business down? But it happened, and we got our butts kicked and knocked on the mat and got back up, and here we are. So
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're recovering, right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah. And I know a lot of people, frankly, would maybe folded, right? You go from a million a month to zero a month. You're like, you know what? Screw this. But you
Oh,
guys
believe
said,
me, Sean, we had a lot of our advisors said, I recommended that. You should just declare bankruptcy and just like leave. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not
mm,
wired that way, number one. And number two, we knew what we had. Like we had the
mm,
only patent in the world to reverse
yeah,
this crazy disease. I'm like,
yeah,
we just got to figure it out because we're going to
mm,
come back up, but it was one of those things where, again, it was a really good lesson on resilience that, it's okay to get punched in the face and knocked down, but the test of character in business is do you get back up and, take another swing or you just fold, and we just didn't do that. So
yeah. And I think that's to me, that's one of the most important characteristics of successful business folks is the resilience piece. And I people that aren't in business, I don't think they see that because of course they see the person who hits it big and they're like, oh my gosh, they just overnight success, all that kind of stuff. And of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
it doesn't exist. And it's really that person, probably had the same sort of ups and downs, and then boom, then they maybe had that hockey stick. But without the resilience, you're down and out.
yeah,
So
100%.
so
Yeah.
good for you guys. So what's been the hardest thing? I mean, tell us about the COVID thing. I don't know if that's it, but what's been the hardest thing that you've been through, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, it was definitely the COVID issue. Again, we thought we had a really brilliant strategy, Sean, because our demographic for diabetics is our average age is 65 years old.
Mm,
And before COVID, if someone's going to invest like $5,000 or $6,000 in a program that's not covered by insurance, they want to go to a building, shake somebody's hand, see it's real,
mm,
right? They could do it
mm,
online. So our strategy was, right, let's get 30 brick and mortar clinics open around the country to have that credibility in the marketplace and
mm,
then add the telemedicine on top of it, right? To really
mm,
help us reach everybody else. Well, COVID
mm,
got a different plan for us, but so it was a logical strategy where we're on. But the blessing has been that now because of COVID,
mm,
right, our demographics much more open to doing Zoom
mm,
calls and telemedicine than before. So now we
mm.
don't have to go back to the clinic model. We can just stick with telemedicine. So, and plus
Yeah,
our overhead now is 90% less, and
yeah,
our profit's higher because now we don't have
yeah.
all the clinics, which is very expensive to do. So again, it was rough 3 or 4 years there, but it's been a blessing for sure.
Yeah, and that's sort of the beauty and the pain point of the word that people now probably hate at this point, which is pivot.
Yes.
But the beauty of the pivot is that when you have those kind of obviously pretty jarring activities like a COVID, there's a shift. It's not just obviously impactful in the business, but there's a shift in people, a shift in their mindsets, and shift in how they live life. And so then great, that's actually more opportunity because with different perspective, now people are maybe willing to buy things differently. And so, but you guys, you're seeing now the benefit of pivoting slash shifting, and now you're getting the more like you said, less overhead, less capital intensive growth, right?
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are on it. Love it. What about being an employer for a lot of people is challenging. And so, what have been some of your biggest learnings as an employer over the years?
Yeah, well, a couple of things come to mind. Number one is, you don't know what you don't know, right? And one of my mentors, and I actually know him as a really good friend of mine, is Tony Robbins. And one of his quotes is success leaves clues. So there's always somebody that's ahead of you that you can learn from, become a mentee of, or hire them as a consultant or a coach. And so over my 34-year career, I've spent well over $1 million in coaching and mastermind groups, et cetera, to be around people that are smarter, better, further ahead than I am, that have
Mm-hmm.
made the mistakes to help me not make the mistakes. That was a huge thing I learned, luckily, a long time ago, that don't think you're the smartest guy in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Spend some money for self-improvement to learn how to navigate things, to miss some of those landmines that are avoidable if you just listen to somebody who's already done that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's been huge for me, for sure. And then the second thing is when you hire employees, and you can't do it all on your own, right? One of my favorite books is The E-Myth from Michael Gerber. Instead of
Yeah.
working in your business, you got to work on it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to like step out of that day-to-day mechanics of it and start working on it as more the visionary. And when you do that, when you hire people, give them equity in your company,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now they feel like they're an owner of the company. So the better the company does, they're benefiting from it financially instead of just collecting a paycheck. So when they have that ownership mentality, it changes the game. It really
Mm-hmm.
does. It's like,
Yeah.
right? Most employees, unfortunately, they learn really quickly what's the minimum I can do per
Mm-hmm.
week to not get fired,
Yeah.
and still get my paycheck. And
Mm-hmm.
so they don't really go that extra mile for most of them. But when you have that profit sharing or give them equity, man, oh man, it's like they come in early, they stay late, they're more
Mm-hmm.
proactive, they bring you great ideas. And so that's been a couple of things that I've really learned. Have a mentor, coaching, et cetera, and make sure if you have
Yeah.
employees, give them a piece of the company so they have that ownership mentality for sure.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I don't know if you've read the E-Myth Manager. You've read that?
Yes.
Read? Yeah.
Yep.
So, and he talks obviously specifically about that.
Yeah.
That hey, your managers are basically owners. I mean, that's how they should be thinking and treating the company, and their role is as an owner, like you're saying. So,
Yep.
and of course, you give them the slice, then they are owners, right, in some way. So,
Exactly. Yep.
so that definitely would help do that with the team. Hopefully, make that
For
shift.
sure.
Yeah, good points that everyone should be aware of. What about if you were to do this whole thing over, right? You started over today. Now, again, you've had some shifts because of things that happened that, of course, you probably couldn't have predicted. But if you were to start over today, what would you do different?
Yeah, the biggest thing I would do, Sean, is start some kind of company where there's residual revenue coming in every single month,
Mm,
whether it's selling supplements or some kind of coaching program where you ding someone's credit card $97 a month, every month, forever in perpetuity, provide great service, but you're building up that residual. So, month one, you have X, month two, there's more X, month three. And so, after 5 years, it continually grows. And you know that every single month, you're getting that predictable amount of revenue coming in every single month. And
mm.
instead of what I've done with our businesses all these years, you gotta go out every month, you got to go out, leave the
Yeah,
cave, kill the food, bring it back to the cave. And
yeah,
we try and build some residual, but it's a lot harder than it sounds.
yeah,
But knowing what I know now, that would have been something I would have done 30 years ago, some kind of a residual revenue business, because that just takes a lot of stress off. I know a lot of people that have that, and to just know that, the first of the month, boom, a couple of $1 million deposit into your bank account, that takes a lot of stress off. So
yeah,
that's what I would have done differently for sure.
yeah. We had a woman come speak at one of our conferences. But it was about her topic. She wrote a book, and it was about subscriptions, basically, right? And it was all about that. The subscription model. Of course, it's gotten a lot bigger, and it's kind of about, of course, this recurring. If you're on
Yeah.
subscription, it just happens. You don't even think about it, and it's every month or every week or whatever the subscription frequency is every year. And I know a lot of the businesses out there that usually get pretty high multiples on their profits for when they sell. They have usually some of that. They have 400 people or 2,000 people or whatever the number is on subscriptions, or they have it on maintenance or whatever the recurring thing is that you're talking about. So obviously pretty desired, not always. And that was one of the things she was giving a method when that speaker about kind of how to create how would you go about creating this subscription type model for your business. And she had a little step-by-step process, but it's harder for some industries than others as you
Yeah.
are seeing. But for sure, if you can get it, let's
Yeah.
get it. So
Yeah.
pretty desired. Um, so you've been growing a lot, had some ups and downs. Are you at this point, are you where you sort of expected you would be? or not so much?
Right now, literally, we're way past right now, Sean, right? Even dreamed, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, our
Awesome.
company right now is on pace to be acquired in the next 18 months for
Hmm.
north of 5 billion, potentially more than that, the way we're growing right now. So I would have thought of that, 10, 15 years ago. I think because now my wife and I, we've been through these ups and downs with business, and obviously it's built character, but it's also humbled us, but also made us ready to like have a company that big, like know why we're doing it. And then when we get acquired, like all the capital we're going to have and like what we're going to do with that. It's not about getting 10 jets and 10 homes. And it's like, what are we going to do with that money to help other people? And
Hmm.
that's kind of so it's a really interesting mindset that we're both in right now. We're now, like, I'm 60, she's 57. So we've been through,
Hmm.
we've been through a lot of stuff. And I think we're ready for that. Where I think 20 years ago, I just wouldn't have been mature enough or humble enough to like, what am I going to do with 5 billion? Yeah. So it sounds kind of ludicrous, but
What? Great
that's
next
where we are.
question. What are you going to do with 5 billion?
Yeah. So again, it's all about, for us, it's giving to a lot of charities and helping other people. And that's going to be the fun challenge for us. Like this last half, this twilight of our lives is having this much capital, and putting it in like apartment complexes, right? Where we're getting
Mm,
money coming in every single month and then literally tithing, 90, 95% of that every month to charities, organizations and helping them. Because
mm,
you can't take it with you. And we're all about helping and giving. And that's why we got into this healthcare to begin with, is to help people. So
mhm,
now with that kind of capital, we can like help so many more people and there's so many great charities that are just looking for capital to really help people and like all around the world. So that's going to be our next challenge is, what charity do we give to this month? Because we have all this residual money coming in from our
mm.
investments now and
Yep.
like get out. So we'll have our own nonprofit and so our daughter will be part of that as well. And that'll be our job is just, okay, where do we give it every month? And that'll be fun. So that's kind of
Yeah.
the next phase for us, but we're there. And again, it's been very exciting. We have a great team and to be able to do this and be able to sell a company for that much money, but
Mhm.
it's like you're actually helping save people's lives in the process. I mean, we can't think of anything better. It's really, really cool.
Well, I don't think that that's a coincidence that you're reaping the benefits when saving people's lives, right? It's like, the old saying, you want to make $1 million, help 1 million people. I mean, that's what you guys are doing. You're helping a million, helping millions of people. And guess what? You reap the rewards, which is, not necessarily a ton per person, but you help that many people, you're gonna make money. Like
Yeah.
that's how it goes. You guys are doing things of value and people are paying for it. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. The So you're going to be, you talked about, hey, we're going to be working on some like the real estate, trying to get some of that sort of basically getting the recurring revenue, sort of, so to speak. And so
Right.
I do think that's an interesting way to do it. And a lot of times that is what clients end up doing is, hey, look, maybe it's hard to do in your business. Well, if you make money, then well, you can go find it outside the business, and that might be through investments or other methods or channels. So, and that sounds like what you guys are going to basically end up doing. You're going to get a huge
Yeah.
payout and then go create that in other methods. So you mentioned the charity, or trying to basically figure out where you're going to donate all this money. So is that it? Are you going to try to maybe do another business outside of that, or is that going to be like the main?
We've been grinding it so hard and fast
Yeah.
for 3, 4 years now, Sean, that, we want to take a year off after the acquisition, just kind of focus on giving.
Uh,
But yeah, my mind is wired, so entrepreneurially,
yeah.
we'll get back in and I'll do my own kind of little Shark Tank thing where I'll kind of be you do
Yeah.
that kind of thing like once a quarter, meet with some businesses and invest in them and kind of help them grow. 'Cause I just love doing that. I love business. I love figuring out how you can scale and looking at this opportunity. So we'll kind of I'll get together maybe half a dozen friends of mine and kind of do our own little Shark Tank.
Mm.
Just kind of invest in other businesses and help that way. But I won't start another business myself after this. This will be it. This will be our swan song. Then we'll just kind of have fun the rest of our lives, donating and helping other businesses grow too. So
Nice. Yeah, there was a guy here around the DFW area that would do kind of like a Shark Tank thing. He'd get it was for one business. It wasn't like, they don't do the show where they're like 5 or 6 people come in, but they would basically have a pitch deck and they'd have, I think it was like 4 or 5 people that would sort of be the potential investors. It was interesting, of course, to see and these were typically more local businesses,
yeah.
but yeah, fun thing to do. Obviously, good for the businesses that you can invest in and help them move along their way. So
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Good stuff. Well, congrats to you. You guys obviously have been through various ups, downs, trials, tribulations, and continued to. I mean, some of the points you have about just making sure you're continually getting the benefits of outside influence. Your all these learnings you have had. I mean, you continue to do it, and it's paid off. So, congrats to you, and appreciate you being on. I think giving some pretty good nuggets for folks to hopefully they're going to take away, and yeah, appreciate you having me on, and wish you the best. And when you're out donating to those businesses, let me know. I might know some folks who'd be interested. So,
That'd be great. Yeah.
um,
Once it happens, I'll come back on, Sean. I'll tell you what we're doing after we have the opportunity.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Fun to
Yeah.
hear.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me
thank
on.
you. Thanks, Dr. Jeff. Bye bye.